Olivia Belli. Thank you so much for being the guest of today's podcast. So this is the second season of Women in Classical. And I'm really happy to have you, firstly, because we are in Berlin. We are recording tomorrow one of your pieces that you wrote for my new album. So this is very exciting to actually be talking to you also before and sharing this moment together. So thank you for being here.
My pleasure. I'm very, very happy to be here to have this occasion to have a chat with you.
So I thought we'd start with a little game. So I say two words and you choose one of them. Okay. Firstly, major or minor?
Major.
Okay. Orchestra or choir?
Orchestra.
I would have said the same. Countryside or city?
Countryside.
I knew the answer of that. To be honest, I could have guessed this one. Okay, and we will do a last one. Inspiration, you get it more in the morning or in the evening?
Early morning.
Okay, early morning. Okay. Okay, thank you for this. So I want to kind of go back to the beginning of how music all started for you. There's one thing that I found very interesting was your relationship with nature, actually. I mean, you mentioned countryside. I could have guessed that. You said how deep the link is for you to nature. Also, today you live, I think, in the countryside, kind of away from big cities. And you've said how important this is to how you started music and also your inspiration with the compositions. Is that something that started very young, this link to nature?
It started at around 8 years old when we moved to Trieste because my father was a bank manager.
Okay.
So we used to travel a lot and to change many big cities.
Always in Italy?
All in Italy. And the bank used to offer to my father very elegant and big flats, but inside the center of the city. And for me, it was like being in a cage. People said that there was a golden cage,
Yeah.
but for me, it was
Still a
really,
cage.
yes, terrible. And so when we moved to Trieste, Trieste is a very special city because it's in front of a sea and just immediately behind a carso that it's a particular kind of vegetables, very dry. And so we had a big flat in front of a sea, and there I could go outside freely and enjoy the nature. It was not like being in a city; it was like being in a city in the middle of the nature. And in that moment, I finally feel free. And music was always part of my life because in my home everybody play an instrument as an hobby.
Not professionally, but yeah, as a hobby.
Not professionally, as a hobby. We have in any flat we had a music room, just a room dedicated to have the piano, the spinette, the violin, and also CDs, vinyls, and everything. And in Trieste, there was this link with the beautiful of the nature around me, the beautiful of the nature from the window of the music room, and music that in that moment became a professional path.
Okay.
At that moment, I decided that I want to be a musician. And
how old were you?
Around 8 years
Around
old.
8. Okay. So it was very young.
Yes, quite young.
Yeah. So you decided at this time, this is what I want to do.
Yes.
And you mentioned, and I wanted to ask you about this, about a garden of daisies. You memory about that?
Yes, it's strange.
What does it mean? Yeah.
Because I was born in Mantua, that it's a medium city near Milan. And I have no memories about that places, but I remember this big garden of daisy. When I came back 10 years ago to visit my birth house because I want my children to see where mommy was born. And I saw this tiny garden with daisies.
But it seemed huge in your
But in my
memory.
mind, because I was 1 year old or 2 years old, it was so big. And I remember the feeling of being so happy there. And when I saw it after many years and it was so small, it was so disappointed for me. But daisies are still something that are very close to me, and I used to call almost many of my cats daisies
Really?
or Margherita. That is the Italian name.
I like that. And so today you have two children, is
Yes,
that right? And
two teenagers
two
now.
teenagers.
Be careful.
And you live with your husband, so in the countryside. So you've kept this idea of loving nature and being surrounded by nature. But you went in between. You went to London, right?
Yes.
I read something I was intrigued. I wanted to ask. You said I didn't understand if you were part or you worked in a music agency
Yes.
in London.
Yes, because even if when I was in Trieste, my relation with nature was much closer, and I used to spend a lot of time during summer immersed in the nature for studying music, to work in and improve. I have to stay in cities
Yeah.
and travel in big cities, and also my husband. And so we moved, and we decided to move and to really, in a sense, isolated in the countryside much later. It was
Okay.
not during the period in which we have to
build
study
the
or to build a
career
career
yeah.
and so on. And for a moment, we also spent almost a year in London. And I was because I was also very involved in creating my music festival. I had
Okay.
for 10 years I had my own music festival,
Mhm.
and so to learn better how to develop a festival, how to understand all the business of management
Yeah.
of a music festival, I went to work in London in a music agency just to learn better that part
That
of
part of
the
the business.
music life. And I think it also helped me to understand the other point of view, because sometimes when you are on the stage, you just focus on yourself and your music, and you don't understand exactly what is happening on the seat, on the people that are listening to you. And be an organizer
Yeah.
and try to create a festival that um, could create a real connection with the audience, change your point of view. And so it helped me also in develop my career.
Okay, that's very interesting. I think because that thing actually, I don't know what you studies were in music. Did you go to the conservatoire?
Yes, I did the academic studies in Italy, that we have the conservatory, that is
Yeah.
like the academy.
Yeah.
And I did all my studies as a concert pianist. I trained as a concert pianist, but I also develop skills in composition.
Did you study composition?
Yes, also it was part of the academic
Okay.
course also.
Okay.
And then all the normal masters
course.
and stages
Yeah,
and
yeah.
months there
Yeah.
and weeks in another place. So as every musicians.
But what's interesting, and I was talking about it to Adis actually, is the fact that in those conservatoire, they teach you so many things, but actually this whole business side of things, for example, how to organize a festival. And you said, you actually went to, for example, to work in a music agency. And so you now understand, to learn these skills of understanding how to organize a music festival, to how it works business wise, how it's, it has to make it work financially, etc.
Yes, exactly.
And we don't know that as musicians. Like, it feels like we are so far away from this when you are,
No, it's a big lack, in my opinion, in the academic studies, because also a young musician that he got his degree, he has no idea how to get inside
Yeah.
the music business, because at the end you must have a artistic career, but it also have to work.
Yeah.
And so now things are also getting very easy and complicated at the same time. You have many possibilities, but you must understand what is the best path. And so it's important. And I think that at least in Italy, I don't know in the other countries, they would need to add in the academic courses something
yeah,
that
every-
helps
yeah.
the students to understand what is happening
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
And so that's important. There are some musicians, like for example Gauthier Capuçon, that has a foundation, Gauthier Capuçon, for students.
Yes.
And in that foundation, they don't work only on music,
they also have
but
classes
they
on...
have relation and contact
that's
and things.
interesting.
So I don't know exactly how it
Yeah.
works, but
Well,
I
things are
understood
changing a little
that
bit.
things are changing. I suppose also that after COVID,
Yeah.
everybody
It made you
understood
rethink.
that we have to rethink also the academic courses and how interact with the
With the
world
audience, yeah.
and with the audience.
Yeah. And so when did you develop? Because I think, again, that's a very interesting thing. For example, in as interprets and as musicians, classical musicians, I was never really encouraged to compose, for example. And I find that a very interesting way and to be creative, to be different from other musicians, because of course also there's this thing of the music world being very competitive. We're all in competition with each other, but sometimes it's
The
because
thing that I hate most
yeah
about music.
exactly. But actually when we manage to find something that is special about ourselves, and I find that the fact that when you compose your own pieces, you play your own pieces, you play your own music, you're irreplaceable, right? Because nobody will create what you do. And I think that's a wonderful thing to be able to discover and develop. So how did you develop this? Were you first playing fully just the usual classical repertoire? When did you start really composing?
So, I mean, composing was part of my life, but it was private. I keep really separated from the classical training. And at some point, I was quite young, 18, 19. I didn't like the path of the classical training, but it was making the competition have the same repertoire of everybody. And so decided who is playing better the same etude or the same piece. And in that moment, and also there was another thing that came up to my mind, that if you think at Mozart, Mozart was really famous in his time, while we were used to play music of the past. And why it was so strange? Why now we have to play just only that composer? And so I changed my path and I began commissioning new pieces and getting inside the music of Stockhausen, Kurtag, Ligeti, the very great composer of the past century. And from that, it was easy to go even on beyond further. And let's try Steve Reich, Philip Glass, and then Richter,
So
Einaudi.
Closer to us,
and closer to us,
Yeah.
and also to understand that people react better to Glass and to Richter, to Einaudi. So it means that they manage to communicate. I love the music of Kurtag, Ligeti, they are great maestros, but I understood that maybe we could find a new way to communicate classical music to the audience. And in that moment, the idea to maybe try to give my contribution, it came up to my mind. And also it was funny because my children that listen to my music at home, my personal ones, say, why, mommy, you are not on internet? Why we can find your music there? And so one day I and my husband thought maybe we could try and see what happens. And it was nice because we received so many messages from all around the world. And so I understood that I could give something back. And that's why then I pursue that path.
Yeah. Oh, that's great to hear. And why do you think, you said how, for example, people react better to Einaudi or this or Philip Glass type of music today, and maybe they are able to communicate more with the people of today. But why do you think is that? Why do you think people might connect better to your music or to the music of Einaudi in a way more easily, I guess, than the music that were written before? Is it because we adapt as composers to the... I thought maybe, and that's just my personal opinion or personal thoughts, so I'm opening the question to you, but I thought maybe is it because we react, and you said it yourself, we're storytellers, you react to whatever is around you, right? You react to the life that you are living currently. So maybe that people can feel that through the music, and the music that is written today is really directly linked to what people are living and the way people are living, maybe. But I'm very open to hear your side of it.
I think that at some point we had music took a strange situation, because Liszt was a performer of a music of the past, but also a composer.
Yeah.
But when he performed the music of the past, he changed it.
Mm.
He reworked the music of the past. It was least playing Bach, it was least playing Verdi. And so we have all his transcription, his
Yeah.
things. At some point, we decided that we want to listen the music as it was conceived many centuries
So we
before.
focused on how was it
Yes, and so we had a separation.
Yeah.
We have performer, great performer that just played, and composer that just composed. And these things create different relation with the audience, because the composer is not connected with the audience, he's connected just only with the performer.
Mm.
And it's the performer that try to communicate the composer to the audience.
So it's like adding one more
Yes.
person in the loop of the
And I think that these things is getting, in a sense, worse and worse, and the composer is just writing for himself, or maybe for the performer, without taking care of what is happening in the audience. This is my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And for example, the figure of Glenn Gould is completely different outside the box, because he was a performer, a composer. He was a kind of performer that reworked the piece, because we can't recognize many pieces in his interpretation. And also the way in which he recorded was very avant-garde, very special. But it was too early. Now it would be the musician of our time, not
before.
50 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I think that the composer lost the connection with the audience. Mozart had a connection with the audience. He met the people that were listening to his music. And with Philip Glass, Max Richter, and Audi, we came back to this. The composer now has a direct contact with the audience.
Yeah.
Of course, we could also have the performer that it's in between. But I think that the composer, the real modern composer now doesn't want to be far from the audience. He wants to have a real connection and to understand if his or her music resonates to the audience.
Yeah.
But in the past, at some point, we had this break.
Yeah,
the separation between composer and performer. And it was not like this before.
Yeah, that's a very, very interesting angle and interesting take. And I started thinking about it recently, because I actually had this person told me something which was actually quite hurtful. It was said in a hurtful way, but I tried to rethink about the question about this phrase. And this person said to me, "Oh, but you're just interpreting music, so that means you're not an artist."
No.
So no, but it made me think. So it was meant to be not a nice thing, but I just re-thought about this whole thing and thinking, okay, but actually I always loved improvising. For example, when I was little, I loved improvising, and sometimes I've wrote it down, but I loved having this freedom of taking my violin out and just perform anything that would come to mind. And after I went through music studies and went through this thing of, having to, what you said, how would Mozart would have liked it to be performed, and focus on that and work so hard on that you don't have time to do anything else or really express yourself. And recently now that I'm out of all of that, I've come back to this idea of wanting to feel this other type of creativity, this other type of freedom, of also wanting to really express what I feel, because of course you can express it through the music, but how it makes you want to, of course, to try it. How is it that if the notes really come from within you, from what you feel like? So in a way, I took from this sentence something that hopefully is positive, is making me want to also start composing and to also start writing whatever comes from me. But what also it made me think of is, and I guess this new album that I'm making also, all around women, and from the very beginning of time up to today, it made me think of the fact that we listened mostly, right, to composers, men, and we've had this whole part of history that we know, but this whole part that we are now discovering. And my question is, do you believe there is feminine and masculine energy in music composition and in music writing? And it's really an open question. I don't have, I don't even yet have this idea on this, but I thought it's could be kind of mind-blowing to think that until now, what we've heard mostly is um, a masculine type of energy when writing this music, and maybe we've missed out a whole part of music writing. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe there isn't. Maybe somebody who has masculine energy could compose just the same way as somebody has a feminine energy. But I was curious to hear what you
Oh,
felt
it's
about
a
this.
very open
Of
question.
course, yeah, exactly. That's why I said I'm yeah.
Um, so, first of all, I think that if we come back to the past, of course, we have more in the past, more male composer that we listen to. But how strong was the influence of women on that composer? Because if we think of Robert and Clara
Yeah.
Schumann,
Yeah.
Robert was inspired all the time by
Yeah.
Clara.
Yeah.
Clara was the muse of Schumann. And I suppose that without Clara, we would not have Robert.
Yeah.
And the same with Brahms, that
Yeah.
he was,
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
inspired by Clara. And Alma with Mahler. So the feminine aspect comes to us through the eyes of a man
Okay, I
composer.
never thought about it like that. Actually, it's
And
interesting.
another example is even in the art. If we think at La Gioconda di Leonardo,
Yeah.
we are admiring La Gioconda,
Yeah.
not Leonardo in a
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
It's Leonardo that is
Yeah.
giving us La Gioconda,
Yeah.
that has inspired him so much. But we remember her face,
Yeah.
her look.
Yeah.
And so the influence of the women are so strong in the history of art in general. Of course, there are very ancient artists, women that decided to release what they do. For example, the first composer I was reading, just because I know that
Yeah.
we were going to talk about this, was Maddalena Casulana, that is a composer from the 1560, so Renaissance
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
together with the painter Artemisia Gentileschi. So when they want, the women could do that.
Yeah.
But I think that there was a period in which the role of a woman was also to inspire
Yeah.
the work and be represented through the work of a man. Another thing that I have noticed that has changed during the time is that at the very beginning, there was not such the role of be a front man in music. If we think at the Bach family, it was like a laboratory. Now, going on through the classicism and then the romantic period, of course, we had the great artist that is the star. And so we wanted the front man.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, just men were the front men.
Yeah.
Only later, also, the women want to have this strong position in the society. But before, it was more everything done inside your own private world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. I think the what you said about, I guess, women being represented in other men's work is a very interesting one. What I would wonder though is, I guess, it is still expressed. It would still be a man's expression, right? Or a man's feelings on how he sees the woman. And maybe with this kind of other things that now we are discovering, and obviously we are rediscovering, as I said, so same for me. Like, I really went into research nowadays, really try and understand this whole part that we didn't learn really in music conservatory and stuff, and to maybe have what it was like to live at the time being a woman, to really to know really what they were feeling and what they're trying to express within themselves, rather than being seen through or used as a muse, or
Yes, it's possible. I mean, of course, men and women are different. So when I'm sure that a great artist, female or male, could decided to express a particular feeling.
Yeah.
So when Mozart writes the music for a female character
Yeah.
is
He tries
different.
to, yeah.
He tries to.
Yeah.
But of course, the way in which a woman could get inside the mind of a woman, it's surely different.
Yeah.
And but a great artist could reach almost the 99%. In any case, a female, if he wants to be represent
Representing
a
this.
male,
Okay.
and vice versa. And I forgot what I wanted to say. And of course, yes, if we have a male composer writing about a woman, it's just through his point of view.
Yeah.
But it could be, of course, different when it's a woman that writes about a woman.
Yeah.
That's sure.
Of course, yeah.
But I think that maybe there was a period in which women didn't feel the need to express themselves also in this
Public, you mean?
public society. They just be happy to do it in a private life. Now society has changed, and almost everybody's pushed to be more frontman. And there is something that is beautiful of this, of course, but sometimes it could be also dangerous.
And so I have a question actually talking now about, men and women. I know your husband is also a musician.
Yes.
So you are two musicians in one house.
Yes.
So how is that? I mean, do you, of course it can be wonderful, I'm sure. And sometimes maybe it can be a little bit difficult as well.
Yes. Yes, of course. But first of all, my husband was my teacher.
Okay.
And we have been lucky because sometimes the story between teacher and students
doesn't go well.
Don't work at all. In our case, work well. And yes, we. I mean, when I was a teenager, I loved very much the diary between Clara and Robert, and it was my dream to have a kind of family like them. And I'm very lucky because at the end I manage. Of course, it's hard because you have to balance two strong personality. And we are very lucky because we are in a sense complementary.
Okay.
And that's good.
In what way?
Different feelings. So what is my lack? He can help me to improve, and the same.
The other way around,
we see the things from two angles, and so this help each other to understand our point of view. And so at the end, I think that we manage to, when we work in anything, it could be a piece of mine, an interpretation or an arrangement or anything, we could get a good balance because we have 2 points of view. There is also, first of all, you need, of course, a big respect, a strong respect each other, because otherwise it's not possible to.
And also, I guess the respect, as you said, and especially if he was your teacher, I guess one important thing is to let you. Because sometimes this relationship you can always feel like never fully free to be equal in the.
I know. No, it was hard at the beginning for me, but then we managed to overpass this also because when you begin to have a family and also our problems and things, everything get a different perspective, of course. And so you grow up and you change the relation. It's no more teacher and student. Maybe at the beginning it was still like that, but then things change. And so I like to call us with an ancient Greek word that is duale, that it says that you work only when we are in two, like the eyes. The eyes are always two, can't be one. And so you can translate this word in Italian and maybe not in English, but in Greek it's great. You are two, but you are one and one, but you made not only a couple, but a unicum.
That's
nice.
That's a nice way to put it. Okay, so it's because I wondered, how, for example, how is a normal day at home? Because also you have your two children are I think educated at home.
Yes,
right. I was also homeschooled actually for a little bit of time, so I know also how much work that can require, of course, and how do you manage? Like, what's a typical day for you? Because of course, being an artist takes a huge amount of time. Being a musician, composing, etc. How do you, and being two artists in one house,
Yes.
how do you manage that?
Okay, so typical day doesn't exist. Every day.
No typical day.
is
And every day different.
But let's say this. Now, of course, it's different because my children are quite big, are
Yeah.
teenagers. So
Yeah.
when they were very small, me and my husband had to divide it the time that we dedicated to them in a
Okay.
way that we
So you split
each of us has own time for
themselves and for the
themselves.
music, and yeah.
I used to get up very, very early in the morning, so I have my 2-3 hours before everybody is in the house. When they are all sleeping, I have my hours for myself. My husband, he'll prefer the night.
Okay,
So when
so-
we all go to sleep,
Yeah.
my husband has the night for him. And so, yes, it was hard. But in terms of time, at the end, you can manage. I'm quite a good organizer of
Okay.
myself, and also of a family engagement.
Okay, so
it's
you're the one who
something,
does the
yes,
organization skills.
I can manage quite well how to organize the day. The problem is more a balance in terms of energy, because of course, when you are involved in any aspect of the education of your children, you give a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And also, in a sense, you suffer their pains, you have their joy. And so this is not easy to balance with your own energy for only yourself. So it's for me, that's the most challenge in having a family. Try to find the moment in which you can switch off everything that is not you and your music and your art, and just focus on yourself. Because there is always something that connects you to what is happening outside.
Yeah, so yeah, it can be hard. And so when you go into your composing world, do you feel like you are kind of in your own bubble, disconnecting from this real life?
Yes, I mean, the 90% I manage. I also practice meditation before, in a way that this helped me to get into this state of conscious and unconscious state of mind. I do it very early in the morning, when there is such a deep silence around me, and so I manage. But in any case, the experience of being a mother gives me a lot also when I compose, because I'm also express what is all the feelings that I receive back from my children. And another thing that is very nice is that when you are so close, because doing homeschooling, you have your kids all the day
All
at
the
home.
time at home, yeah.
Of course, they had many
Activities.
activity outside with our
Yeah.
children, but
Yeah.
you have them for most of the day at
Yeah.
home. But what it was wonderful, it was that you rediscover the world through their eyes.
Yeah.
And because when you grow, you don't notice any more things that you consider normal,
Yeah.
but not for them.
Yeah, of course.
And so
Yeah.
it was like rediscover the small miracle of every day.
Yeah.
And this was a very great experience for me. It gave me so much, and that's something that I try to express through the music.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And so what I love about this podcast, actually, and Jenny speaking, is the fact that, to be honest, personally, I've learned so much, and I've felt very inspired by everything that you've said, and talking about all of this. And one thing that I find inspiring is to have looked a little bit at what you have done, and to have seen how your career has grown and just kept growing, kept evolving. And today also you are keep composing new pieces and commissioning new pieces, and having a wonderful career and very impressive career. And to be honest, it's very refreshing to see this, because sometimes I've felt, firstly as a woman and also as a musician, this fear of thinking I have to make it before 30 years old, or I have to be done, I have to have done everything that I wanted before 30 years old, or this feeling of pressure linked to age somehow, to that you need to make this when you are young. And actually to see your career is very inspiring, because to see that you just keep evolving, keep growing more and more. It's very inspiring. So I wanted to ask, actually, if, um how has it felt for you throughout, from when you were very young, I guess you said 8 years old, that you wanted to start playing, up to today. How has it been, this whole evolution? I mean, has there been moments when you wanted to give up, when you felt like it wasn't working?
Every day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the hardest part of being an artist is to balance the critical aspect that you should have,
Yeah.
but it has not to become destroying you. And
Feel
that's
that.
the challenge that every artist has every single day. Because in any creative process, you always are just on a sea,
Mm,
and you don't know where you are going. And when you look what you have done, it's not easy to be happy. You always perceive as something doesn't work, and maybe it this can become like a monster that destroy you.
yeah.
And so, I mean, I have never had any situation so strong that push me to give up, because my path was very regular. So I was not the fan prodigy. I was not
Hmm.
the one that had something very easy and then it stopped immediately. So it was very, very regular.
Okay.
I have changed my interest many times.
Hmm.
For example, the years when my children were very, very small, I decided to stop
Have a little break.
and
Yeah.
dedicate it more to them
Hmm.
because it was important.
Hmm.
But that was something that enriched me when I came back to the music.
Yeah.
And so it's more a daily struggle to that monster that sometimes
Yeah. To deal with that
wants,
monster. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
that it's inside
Yeah.
because you are an artist, you're critical, and you achieve something that is an ideal of perfection, an
Yeah.
ideal of beauty, and but it's really an ideal.
Yeah. Of course.
You will never reach.
Yeah.
But you know it with the mind,
Mm.
but sometimes the soul and the heart, it's different, and so that's very difficult.
Yeah. And so how did you, in those moments when you have this
Mhm.
monster coming out, how do you keep it in?
I think that is because at the end music is in my chest,
Yeah.
so I can do without.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a day without doing something related with music.
Mm.
But it could be playing, it could be composing, it
Mm.
could be listening, it could be learning something more. So it's like breathing,
Yeah.
and that's why you don't
Just
give
keep
up.
going. Yeah.
You
You
keep
just, yeah,
going
of course. Yeah.
because it's
You
part
can't,
of a
it's
life.
just part of it. It's just part of it. Yeah. That's beautifully put. Okay. I have one last question for you. Um, looking back at all the years since you started, if there was one thing, one advice that you could give, maybe that you would have liked to give to yourself back in the days, and maybe that you could give to younger people coming, and especially younger girls coming into the industry today, what would it be?
To trust the light that you have when you are a child.
Hmm.
Because when you are a child, you are positive. If you feel that you want to do that, you have a dream, you have a light, but the society will tell you so many things that you will not realize that is not possible. It's very hard. It happens only once in millions of situations, and then you lose trust. Your light is fading, fading,
Yeah.
fading. So trust your light. If you have that light, trust it,
Yeah.
and then you will find a way. Maybe it's not the way that everybody has, or the way that it's common,
Yeah.
or the academic idea what it should be.
Mm.
We are different,
Okay.
so everyone has a different path.
Mm.
You just only have to trust the light.
That's beautiful. And actually, I love this idea of thinking, what did you want when you were younger? What was your dream when you were younger? What was your idea? Because I often think about that again, thinking, what, would the 10-year-old me be happy with what I am today? What would she say if she saw me today? And and actually I think she'd be pretty happy, but to rethink about that, because you have this purity, of course, when
Yes.
you are young, of not thinking about anything that is impossible, not thinking about all these things. And it's same when you sometimes when you see something. And I said, when I was 10, I said I want to be a violinist, but my idea of a violinist, it was giving concerts around the world, traveling, but also I always loved fashion. I want to dress and have very beautiful dresses, and this was my idea. And I'm so happy today that I managed in a different way, different path to what is been told to me that this was the right way. And I managed that, but to keep referencing back to that, back to the pure idea that you had of yourself back then. So I love that. Thank you so much for sharing all of this, and I can't wait for tomorrow's recording.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.